Hello and welcome back. I'm Thomas Boucher. In this video we'll be taking a look at putting in the sill for my shop, as well as beginning to take apart the existing walls that we had dismantled earlier in this series. Now everything that we've done so far in this series has been leading up to this point where we can actually get to the point where we're building the shop again. So although we're only looking at putting the sill together, it's kind of a big milestone for me and a huge moment where I'm actually kind of coming down the other side of the hill. So before it was like tearing the shop down and kind of getting the site prepared for putting the shop back. And so in this video we're actually starting to put it back. We'll also take a look at tearing apart the existing walls, and I want to try to reuse as much stuff as possible to save costs for myself. Lumber's been pretty expensive this year, and what little I've had to buy has actually added up quite a bit. I don't have a huge budget for this build, so whatever I can reuse is really helpful. Before we get into the video, I had a quick announcement. If you missed my other video that I posted recently, my book, Basic Handmade Padlock, is now live and ready for pre-orders. So if you're interested in getting a copy of that, head on over to my website, greasyluckforge.com, and click on Shop, and you can purchase your pre-ordered copy today. Thanks.
Put it on the software. So here we've got our ground contact pressure treated wood. We were separating them out to kind of figure out which ones we want on the inside and which ones on the outside. And these are going to go on the sonotubes. And we're going to laminate them. So the ones we set on the ground are going to be on the outside. These are going to be on the inside. So now what we have to do is cut them to the final length. Yeah, we're off some that way. That's pretty close there. It's off a little, but it's not too bad. Right here. See if it fits. So the one end board right now, it's cupped a little bit or bowed, so we're sucking it in with a C-clamp to tighten them up so when we nail them together they kind of stay where we want them to. We're still having a little bit of trouble with this beam. If we clamp it on the top, the bottom seems to open. If we clamp it on the bottom, the top seems to open a little bit. We've used some of the longer ring nails at an angle to try to keep it from pulling, but it seems to still open a little. Probably the best we'll do. So now that we got the pressure treated pieces all laminated and nailed up together, before we attach them to the brackets in the sonotubes, we need to go around and level it. So we're going to drive some wedges and make sure everything's good and level. So at this point, this is about as far as we can move ahead with this part of the shop. So for now, we're going to start working on fixing up the walls that we took down and getting those to a point where we can start putting them on here.
So tearing apart the existing walls and taking the clapboards off took place over a couple of different days. So you'll see here my dad and I in one shot, and then another shot it's just me by myself. And this wasn't the entire time that it took to take these walls apart. This was just a couple of occasions. But I just wanted to show a little bit of the process of going through and reclaiming some of these materials to be able to reuse them, and also to judge what shape the walls are in. We actually did not reuse 2 walls because they were just too far gone, but 2 of them we did end up reusing a majority of. So here you can see us tearing apart the clapboards. There's a paper underneath, and you can see it's pretty much a mess. Part of that was because these walls had laid in my driveway during some rain, and since the walls were laying flat, a lot of the rain sat on top, really kind of soiled some of that paper. But I don't think it was in very good shape to begin with anyways. Here you can really see the wall just is not in good shape, so this wall we're tearing apart, saving the wood that's still good on it, and just tossing out the stuff that's not, reusing as many of the clapboards as we can, and just assessing kind of what shape these walls are in. The first wall we'd started working on, we started trying to take the clapboards off from the bottom, and after a little while we realized it's easier to start at the top, obviously because the clapboards are on top of each other, starting at the top and kind of working their way down, so it was a little bit easier. Over the process of reclaiming this material and tearing these walls apart, we pulled out a ton of nails, as you can imagine, but I had to get them all out of there. That way no one steps on them and I don't run them through any of the saws. I eventually was able to devise a pretty good system using these 2 pry bars to work my way down a clapboard to pop all the nails out and peel them off the wall. So that was just a quick look at reclaiming some of the material and seeing what kind of shape some of the walls were in. Again, I think we might see some of this process a little bit later in another video. I'm about a month behind in my videos as to where we're actually at currently in building the shop. Like I said, now that the sill's in, everything moving forward for the most part is going to be putting the building back together, and like I said, it kind of feels like everything was like going uphill leading to this point, and now we're coming back down as to where we're building it. So there's still a bit of work to do, but it actually feels like we're getting somewhere as we are no longer tearing the building apart, but putting it back together. Thanks again for watching. Bye.